This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, guys. Now today we started like Spring framework, the Spring framework class, Spring and Spring Boot basically. So the first one is like no, okay, Spring, अरे यार, Spring framework. Okay, Spring is a complete modular framework for developing the enterprise applications in Java. Hmm? Yeah, definitely. So Spring is a complete modular framework developing enterprise applications in Java. So enterprise applications in Java means, sir, what type of applications in Java means? There are four types of applications in Java: standard applications, web applications, enterprise application, distributed application, right? Exactly. A standard application means using JDSC, core Java. Web application means using servlets and JSP. Servlets and JSP are the technologies to build a web application. Structs cover JSF is the frameworks. They are the frameworks to build a web application, right? Exactly. Guys, coming to enterprise applications, guys. Initially, to design these enterprise applications, guys, which concept they're using EJB concepts, enterprise Java beans, which is like JWA technology. Guys, before Spring, what they're using EJB technology. EJB is like tightly coupled and it's API dependent and all. You have a multiple limitations of EJB. It's completely outdated EJB, so no need to focus on much about the EJB. Then in place of EJB, which framework we got here? Spring framework, right? Yes, I'm correct here. Okay. So before the Spring to design enterprise applications, what is the framework they are using means what? EJB framework, right? Yes, EJB framework they're using or not? Exactly. So this is the point, guys. Come on, distributed applications, we're using web services, guys. Web services to build the distributed applications, right? Exactly. So finally decided Spring is a complete and modular framework for developing what kind of applications, guys, for developing what kind of applications? Respond.
Enterprise application.
Enterprise applications, right? Before Spring, what is the framework we are using?
EJB.
Before Spring, yeah, before Spring, what we are using means, uh,
EJB.
yeah, before enterprise job is EJB, right? EJB full form is what? Enterprise job is, right? Exactly. Guys, coming to the extensions point of view, in the core jar, at least you know what the jar extension is there. You know jar files. In web applications, we know WAR files, web archive file. In Spring applications, you'll get the EAR files, enterprise archive file. In web services, you'll go for the .AR file, application archive file. Yes, you want me to write the full forms? You want me to write the full forms?
No, sir.
Because jar is a full form is what? Java archive file, web archive file, enterprise archive file, application archive file. Application archive file, right? Exactly. Yes, every day I'll share the recorded session to your mail IDs, the guys who are paid fees. Okay, just to take the book and the pen, try to write the notes on the day basis. While writing the listening the video, just write the notes. They'll get the more clarity, right? Now don't write the notes, right? Just try to listen, and if you want, you can take some important running notes. Okay, so but while listening the video later, you can write the complete notes. Any technology, guys, right? The yeah, try to write the notes. Okay, you'll get the more points. Right? So finally decided, Spring is a complete modular framework for developing enterprise applications in Java. What is enterprise application? I'll tell you a bit later. Basically, because first you need to know there are four types of applications in Java: standalone web application, enterprise distributed application, jar files, var files, EAR files, AR file. Before Spring, what we are using means like EJB framework, right? Exactly, guys. There's a point. Guys, see the Spring framework, one of the most popular Java framework, popular Java to solve the enterprise problems, guys. You like Amazon, Google, Facebook. These are the enterprises, right? Big organizations, right? Guys, to solve the enterprise problems, guys. In enterprise problem in the sense that big organizations, Amazon, Google, the big organization, they need the applications, right? To solve their applications, to solve their problems, guys. They're going for like Spring framework. Spring is one of the most popular Java framework to solve the enterprise problems. Yeah, to solve the enterprise problem, right? Yeah. So the Spring framework is the Spring framework is divided into modules here. Application can choose which module they need. Yes, basically we need to understand this point like Spring framework is divided into modules. Application can choose what they need. Yes, basically Spring is a modular framework. Okay, so Spring is a modular framework, right? Spring is a modular framework. Because before going to this point, let me take one of the point here. There are two different types of frameworks in Java. There are two types of frameworks. Two types of what frameworks. What are the two types of frameworks, sir? One is like hmm, guys, there are two types of frameworks. One is like ORM frameworks. Guys, how many frameworks here? ORM frameworks, ORM tools, or ORM frameworks. One is a web frameworks. Guys, web type of ORM type is there. Guys, how many types of frameworks we have? How many types of frameworks means?
Two types.
Guys, there are two types of frameworks, guys. See here, guys, there are two types of frameworks basically we have. There are two types of frameworks are there. What are the two types of frameworks are? One is a web framework. Second one is what? ORM framework, right? Object relational mapping frameworks here. Web framework used to build the web applications. Okay, just like Structs is used to build the web framework, right? Web framework, right? Guys, there are two types of frameworks. Web framework is build the web applications. Completely web application point of it is talking, right? Structs is a web framework. ORM framework means what? Object relational mapping. Object means Java side. Relational means database tables, mapping the data. Yes, ORM tools. Yeah, Hibernate is ORM framework. Guys, Hibernate is what? ORM framework. So ORM framework means what? To connect to the database, right? So in place of JDBC, we have the Hibernate, guys. Guys, one fine day, one weekend workshop I will take. What is JDBC, Hibernate, Spring JDBC, Spring JPA, Spring Data JPA. Regarding all the databases, guys, I'll take one example. Okay, so finally we decided like there are two types of frameworks, guys. For the two types, one is a web framework, second is a ORM frameworks, right? Web framework to design what kind of applications here? Guys, web framework to design what kind of applications means web applications, right? Web applications, guys. ORM framework means what? Object relational mapping framework, which is used to write the database connection logics, right? Object to relational, guys. Object to relational mapping, right? Yes or no? Object to what? Relational mapping or no? Object means Java side. Relation means database side. The object is stored in the database row, right? Yeah. So we understood like no, there are two types of frameworks: web framework to build the web application, ORM framework to provide the connection logics, right? Yes, to provide the connection logic or not? Guys, everyone is understood this point, right? Good. Guys, what is Spring, guys? Spring is basically like application development framework, guys. So Spring is application development framework. Using Spring, you can develop end-to-end application. Guys, Spring is a modular framework, or Spring is application development framework, or Spring is divided into modules. Applications can use which module they need, right? Guys, try to understand these 3 points. Spring is a modular framework. Spring is an application development framework to build a web applications end-to-end, right? Yes, basically Spring contains modules. What are the modules we have? So these are the modules in the Spring here. So basically, if we take some Spring modules, yeah. So we have a number of modules in the Spring here. So but let me list out some yeah. These are the modules. Assume like Spring Core module, Spring Test module. So Spring Core, so Spring Text, Spring Context, yeah. Spring, okay, Spring Context. So we have the modules in Spring framework, right? The Spring application the Spring framework is divided into modules, guys. Application they can which they can choose what which module they need, right? Spring core module is there, text module is there, context module is there, and the Spring data module is there. Spring Spring what? So like multiple modules, guys. Spring message, Spring AOP module is there, like etc. Multiple modules that we have. Guys, it means like no, using Spring Core, we can develop the standalone applications. Using Spring Data, we can develop the database applications. Using Spring JDBC also, we can design the JDBC database connection logic. And the Spring MVC module, we can design the web applications. You can design what web applications, right? Exactly. It means using Spring MVC. See, if you want Spring only for the web application, Spring MVC we can use. If you want Spring only for the database connection logic, and Spring JDBC, or you can use Spring Data we can use. Okay, Spring is only for the standard application, Spring Core can use. Spring only for the testing purpose, Spring Test Module you can use. Like it's like a modular framework, guys. Depends on application requirement. Okay, depends on application requirement. Application can choose which module they need. Spring is a modular framework divided into module. Application they can choose which module they need, right? Yes, definitely. This is correct, right? Guys, web framework to design web applications. ORM framework to design the communication purpose, Hibernate, right? Database connection logic. But Spring is a modular framework. Spring contains multiple modules. Using multiple modules, which module you want, you can choose that module. Depends on application requirement. Otherwise, using Spring, we can develop end-to-end applications, right? Guys, the statement is clear. Spring contains one modular, multiple modules. Spring contains
Multiple.
multiple modules. So based on the application requirement, which module they need, they can choose that module, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Guys, based on the application requirement, which module they need, they can choose that module, right? Otherwise, using the Spring all modules, they can design end-to-end applications or not. They can design what end-to-end application, right? Exactly. Okay, the statements are clear. Yeah, Spring is divided into modular. Spring is divided into modules, guys. Application can choose which module they need. If you want a specific module, you can go for the specific module. Or if you want all the modules, you can use the like modules. You can design the end-to-end application, right? Guys, this point and this point is clear. Huh? Please
Yes.
respond.
Yes.
Hmm? So the theory is important, right? Spring is a complete and modular framework designing enterprise applications. What are the types of applications? There are types of applications. So Spring Framework is one of the most popular Java framework to solve the enterprise problems. How many types of frameworks means there are two types of frameworks, web framework and ORM frameworks. Spring is what kind of framework? Spring is not a web, not a ORM. Spring is a complete. Spring is both, right? Spring is a complete framework. Spring is a modular framework. Okay, that's using the Spring applications developed. The Spring application development framework, guys. Spring is a application development framework. Yeah, Spring is what kind of framework? ORM framework. Hmm. Spring is
Yes.
a framework, ORM framework. It's
Frame.
application development framework. It means using the Spring. So using Spring, we can do what? End-to-end application, right? Yes or no? Using Spring, we can develop what? End-to-end application, right? Exactly. Guys, that's the point there. Hmm? Is it clear, right? Exactly. Okay, Spring in the Spring framework is divided into modules, guys. Application they can choose which module they need. Okay, Spring is like can be used for the layer implementation real time, like MVC. Framework can be used for uh, Spring framework can be used for all layers implementations for real time projects, guys. It's not for specific layer, guys. Spring we have the different modules. Take the different module, like which model we need. Spring framework can be used for all layers implementations in the real time project, right? Exactly. It is possible to see either all layers implementations we can use model layer, view layer, controller layer, we can use a Spring. Otherwise, it is possible to implement the particular layer in application using Spring framework, right? Yes or no? We can develop the complete layer. The Spring framework can be used for implementation all layers, like model view controller layer, view layer, controller layer. You can go for the Spring. Otherwise, you can go for the specific layers, right? Yes or no? Previously, it's talking about web applications, ORM frameworks. Spring can go for the both web based and what about Struts? Struts is web framework, web applications. Struts is a web framework to design web applications, but it's completely outdated framework. So in the 2002 2006, Struts is very demanding tool actually. 2002 2010. 2000 to 2010, Struts is very popular. When the okay End-to-end framework means complete applications you can design. End-to-end application means starting to ending application. It means, yeah, this web framework is only for the web application, right? ORM
But
framework is only for the database connection logic, right?
sir,
ORM framework is
Struts is
one.
also used like entire application, like end to end
No, no. Struts is
user.
only for web application means we can't use for the database logics, right? For the database connection logic, again, we need to use Hibernate, right?
Okay, okay, yeah, got it.
Struts cannot interact with the database directly. Again, either you
Mm-hmm.
need to use the JDBC or Hibernate or Toplink, some different frameworks to connect to the database, right?
Okay, got it, sir.
But what about Spring? The Spring JDBC is there to connect to databases. Spring Test is there for testing purposes. Spring Core is there to develop the enterprise standalone applications. Spring MVC is there to design the web applications. Completely end-to-end applications you can design using Spring, right? Yes, yes or no? Yeah. So in model view controller, guys, all layers we can implement using the Spring framework, or specific layer also you can implement using the specific layer, right? It is possible to implement a particular layer in application using Spring framework. Other layers can develop using other technologies, right? Yes, or no? Spring MVC, like in the web application, Spring MVC I'm using. Even for the database connections, I go for the Hibernate also, no problem. Otherwise, Spring MVC I can design a web application, but Spring JDBC I can use for the database connection logic. It means what? Complete connection I can use for complete connection I can go for what? Yes or no? In Spring framework can be used for all layers implementation the real-time project, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Or
Yes,
specific
sir.
layer I can use, right? You understand
Yes.
this point, right? 2 points. Yeah, that's the point, guys. Uh, See, guys, read this point. The Spring framework provides what? Java platform that provides the comprehensive infrastructure supports for the developing the Java applications. Spring handle the infrastructure, so we need to focus on your application. Guys, Spring handle the infrastructure, so we need to focus on what? Your application, guys. It says like, Spring handle infrastructure, guys. Because in JDBC, if you understood, in the JDBC, we need to write the load the driver. Na? We need to load the driver. We need to create the connection, and we need to what close the connection, right? Guys, tell me in JDBC 50 applications we discussed, but all applications we need to load the driver, we need to create the connection, we need to close the connection, right? But these are the infrastructure logic or business logic. Guys, that is the infrastructure. That is basically infrastructure logic, right? It's not like business logic. Only the query processing is a business logic, right? Guys, only query processing is a business logic, but remaining all are what? Infrastructure logic, right? Guys, I'll be remaining all are what? Remaining all are what? Infrastructure logic, right? Exactly. Remaining all are infrastructure logic, guys. But if you take the Spring, guys, those kind of logics we will not, right? Infrastructure logics will take care by the Spring itself. Infrastructure logics will take by the Spring itself. Just we need to focus on what? Your application, right? Guys, yes or no? Infrastructure logics will take care by the Spring framework, so that we need to focus on what? Uh, guys, we need to focus on what? Application logics, right? So we need to focus on your application. That's it, guys. Guys, Spring came in the market being 2003. So the response to the complexity of early JW specification, right? Complexity of early like JW specifications. Basically, JW like enterprise application, right? Yeah, so the Spring is it comes like to give like okay, easy development in the enterprise application, right? Which is like JW extensions, guys. Hmm? In the 2003, guys. And Spring is an open source framework, guys. Anyone can use freely. It's not like licensed version. Spring is an open source Java based enterprise framework. Spring is an open source Java based enterprise framework. Guys, Spring is open source Java based enterprise framework to design the enterprise applications given by given by what? Huh? Given by given by given by Rod Johnson, right? He's the dangerous fellow. Yeah. Spring framework is a other Spring framework Rod Johnson. Still, he's very young. Yeah, almost all is just you need to check once. Wikipedia check once. Spring is open source Java based enterprise framework given by Rod Johnson, right? Guys, given by Rod Johnson. Guys, all are clear, right? Hmm? Guys, tell me what is Spring framework? Spring is a complete modular framework. Hmm.
Yes.
Tell me, define a Spring framework. Spring is a complete modular framework. Developing which applications? Developing the hello. Yes, Spring is a complete modular framework. Designing what kind of applications?
Enterprise applications.
Uh, Designing enterprise applications, right? Exactly. Springwork is one of the most popular frameworks to solve the enterprise problems. How many types of applications in real time, guys? Four types. Spring is used for which applications means enterprise applications. Before Spring, we are using what? EJB, right? Before Spring, EJB. Spring is extension of EJB, yeah. Enterprise Java means. Okay. Yeah, Spring is like most popular framework designed to solve the enterprise problems, right? Yes. How many types of frameworks we have? There are, guys. How many types of frameworks? There are two types. What are the two types here?
Web and ORM.
Web framework and ORM framework, right? So web framework best example is the structure. ORM framework best example is what? Hibernate. Whatever Spring is a Spring is web framework, ORM framework, complete application development framework.
Complete application development.
Application development framework, right? It means using Spring, we can use using Spring we can use end-to-end application, right? Uh, Spring is a complete application development framework. Using Spring, we can develop complete application, right? So to understand that point, we know that okay, Spring is having the multiple modules. Using one module, we can go for the web application. Using one module, we can go for the relational, right?
Yes.
The Spring framework is divided into modules. Application choose what the module they need, right? And the layers also, guys. Even web application contains presentation layer, business layer, persistence layer, right? The same way, the Spring framework can be used for layer implementations in the real-time projects like MVC, like MVC. So, Springware can be used for all layer implementation real-time project. Either it can be used for all layers or it can be used for the specific layer, right? Specific module can go for the specific layer, right? Yes, yes, or no. So this point is important, guys. Spring handle the infrastructure logic. Just based on like no in Spring JDBC classes. In JDBC, hmm, in JDBC, we will like load the driver, create the connection, and load the driver, create the connection, and close the connection. I think those are like in infrastructure logic. Business logic is what just only query processing, right? But every time we need to do like no, every time we need to do, every time we need to focus on infrastructure logic also, right? Yeah, but Spring Framework will provide the infrastructure logic, guys. So we need to focus on what application logics, right? So you can focus on your application logics, right? Exactly. Yeah, Spring handle infrastructure so that we need to focus on application, right? Yeah, Spring is come in 2003 complex to the fairly GW specifications. Spring is an open source Java based. Spring is an open source. Guys, if anyone is asking what does Spring means, you can give this definition. Spring is an open source Java-based enterprise framework to design the enter to develop the enterprise application to develop the enterprise application uh, uh, to the enterprise applications given by to the enterprise application and it is given by mm, and this framework is given by
Johnson.
this framework given by Rod Johnson, right? I think this is the perfect definition, right? Spring is open source free of cost, Java based enterprise framework. Yes, enterprise framework means I think I no need to write this point because enterprise framework means to design enterprise applications, only, right? Enterprise framework to develop the enterprise applications, and this is given by this framework given by Rod Johnson, right? I think this is the perfect definition. Guys, everyone has understood this all the points, right?
Yes, yes.
Any questions? Hmm? Yeah. This is like Spring framework, guys. Good. Before that point, guys, I'll go one more small point. What is a framework? Guys, what is a framework? We're discussing framework, right? Guys, prerequisite to learn advanced like Spring, like core Java basics, advanced Java, scale basics, right? It's fine. Hmm? The prerequisite is actually this prerequisite you can remove it, right? Because you know that, right? Ari, can I place this on prerequisite to learn Java, to learn Spring? You want me keep this point or can I remove this point from material? Mm-hmm. Prerequisite to learn Spring. What do you say here? JDBC, Advanced Java, SQL basics required, right? To understand the Spring. Hmm? Good. Guys, what is the framework? Coming to the framework, guys, the framework is a semi-implemented component or semi-developed software. Hmm? Yes or no? What is the framework? The framework is a semi-implemented component, guys. It means most of the predefined work is done by framework itself. Like infrastructure logics are done by framework itself. Framework is a semi-implemented component or semi-developed software, right? It means most of the predefined support given by framework itself. Just like instant noodles, yeah. Instant noodles are there. Maggie noodles, right? Maggie noodles. Because if you're interested to eat the Maggie noodles, just go to the shop, take the which one semi-implemented component, right? Yes, the Maggie noodles are semi-implemented component or not? It's not like you need to purchase like some powder. What you can say? Pindin why? Guys, at that time in the long back, we need to prepare the noodles. Means what we need to do? We need to buy some half case do. What you can say? Lavanya? Do
Dough. Dough.
Dow, sir.
Dawa
Yeah.
butter.
Batter. Yes.
Dough, butter, yeah, fine. Yes, at the time long back, if you want interested to eat the noodles, what you need to do? You need to purchase the dough and butter, some half kg dough and all, right? And we need to start preparation and we wait for some time then to prepare the noodles or not.
Yes.
Somewhere that
Yes.
time
Yes,
everything
sir.
we have to do, right? But
Yeah.
these days, if you can go to the shop, ask the Maggie noodles, they'll give the instant Maggie noodles, Yippee noodles, Yippee, yeah? Just you
Yes,
can
sir.
take that noodles in. What is that? Maggi noodles, right? That is semi-implemented component. Semi-implemented component or not? Semi-developer software or not?
Yes.
Right. That is a semi-implemented component, right? That
Yes,
is
sir.
called framework. Yeah. The framework is a semi-implemented. Just we can take that framework, we can use it. Right? Photo frame is there. Photo frame means what? They already some prepared some photo frames, right? Just we can select whatever frame you need. Just you can insert the photos, right? Then photo frame is a semi-implemented component or not? So photo frame is there. Plug and play offices, guys. Some offices empty, nothing is there. But some offices infrastructure is there. Just to go and use, right? Yes or no, yeah. Some offices are what? Empty, right? Empty means what? Everything we need to do, right? Everything we need to prepare, right? Yeah, but some offices are what, guys? Plug and play offices. Plug and play offices means what? Infrastructure, everything is there. Chairs, cabins, and everything is there. Just to go and use that office, right? Yes or no? You understood what's the framework, right? Framework is a semi-implemented component or semi-developed software, yeah?
Yes,
Semi-developed
sir.
software. Hmm?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so plug. Is there any other example you can tell me like this? Instant noodles, photo frame. Frame is already ready. Just go and choose what is the frame you need. Just you can place that photos in the frame, right? Plug and play offices. Some offices we need to purchase the chairs and some woodwork, and we need to do everything. So that is a scratch level you need to develop that office. For some office are what plug and play. Already everything infrastructure is there. Just you can pair it. We can use, right? Exactly. It's like that. Any other example you tell me? Semi-implemented component. Framework is a semi-implemented component or semi-developed software. One point is sufficient, right? This is the point sufficient, right? This interview don't give like you can you if anyone is asking the framework means Samir paid students they'll give 10 minutes discussion, theory paragraph. No one will accept those kind of answers in the real time. So your answer should be one line. Noodles is perfect example. Photo frame also, right? Plug and play
Yes, sir.
offices, right? Plug
Again.
and play offices are best example.
Yes.
Because some offices, if I took the one apartment one building for the rent. Infrastructure is not there means again I need to bring the chairs, I need to bring the tables, I need to bring the uh, some all the criteria, right? From the scratch need to develop, right? That is called technology, guys. From the scratch, we are designing your application, your company. Assume like Prema is going to build company. So in that case, what Prema has to purchase the tables and cabins and chairs and uh, uh, everything, right? That is a technology. Framework means what? Semi-implemented, plug and play. Already tables and chairs and coffee machines and everything is there. Just to go and use that. Hmm? Okay. Anyone tell me your own example? No, you're unable to tell. Fine, good. But you understood this point, right? Framework is a semi-implemented component. There are two types of frameworks are there: web framework and ORM framework. Spring is application development framework. It's not like ORM. That's not like web. It's completely complete framework. Guys. Spring is a application development framework. Complete application you can do, right? Exactly. And Spring is given by this person, Rod Johnson here. I hope you are clear about this all the points, right? Hmm?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Good guys. The application development framework and all. Yeah, Spring. Yeah, guys. After that, see one point, guys. Spring versions. If you take the Spring version, guys. So Spring version, this is a diagram for that, guys. Spring 0.9, 1.0. 1.0 production release, guys. First production release is like in Spring 1.0. Spring 1.0, which is there from 2014. 2014, huh? Yeah, 2004. Sorry. Yeah. Spring 1.0 was released in the 2004. At that time, 2004, the Spring is not that much popular because they introduced 2004 itself, right? Up to 6 years, it will take completely industry move to the Spring frameworks. From 2010, 2000 to 2010, who is the later in the market like Specs framework? Yes or no? Spring 1.0, Spring 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Present version of Spring is like 5.0, guys. 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. Present framework is what? 5.0, which is there in the 2017. Spring 5.x, guys, like 5.0.120, 5.1 point something like is there. But okay, major versions are what? Spring 4 1.x, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2009, 2013, and 2017, right? Yeah, they like in Spring versions, yeah. Spring version evolution, right? Yeah, that is fine. This much information is good. Spring 1.x, 2.x, 3.x, 4.x, 5.x. Very clear now. These are Spring versions, right? Exactly. Yes, coming to the versions, different versions are like different new features here. Let me place this all the new feature. Just you can check that point. Okay, good. See guys, Spring 2.0. Like 2.0 means 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 is there. So support Spring annotations. Spring goes XSD validation. Test module newly added like execute the JUnit Mockito and JSON test cases, right? Yeah, Spring 3.0 support like no Sun annotation, JSR annotation, Java specification requirement. It supports like JSR annotation and Spring is Java based configurations, guys. Actually, configurations in the configurations in advanced Java, like we are doing XML configurations, right? XSD
Yes,
means XSD validations. Actually, in XML we are writing the tags, right? The tags will be validated using XSD validation. XSD validation. Suppose XSD validations and okay, JSR validations. That Spring 4.0, guys, the beautiful concepts like Spring Boot is there, Spring Data Module is there, messaging concepts are there. The Spring Boot is one of the modules. Spring Boot is not a separate framework. Spring Boot extension of the Spring. Spring only given the one module like Spring Boot module in the Spring 4.x version. Spring Data module, Spring 4.x version, fourth version, guys. Spring Boot is one of the modules introduced in the Spring. Okay, Spring is a modular framework, right? Yeah, Spring Boot is introduced in Spring 4.0, guys. And Spring 5.0 supports like reactive programming. Yes, the Spring versions are clearer. Some of the important features are written here, right? Support Spring annotations, XSD validations, Spring test module. Okay, Spring supports like JSR validation, Java-based configuration, support RESTful web services, Spring Boot, Spring data module, messaging concepts. These are clear, right? Everything is good, right? Yeah, that is information about what that is information about whatever the first class guys. This is about the theory information. I think which is like day one. I think everyone is good about this one, right? Guys, all points are important, right? And everything is clearly explained, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, paid classes to understand these points, guys. For you, it will take 1 week time. Eh? Sir, no, definitely it will take 1 week time to understand these concepts. That much patience we don't have. We need to develop the applications mostly. So we understood how many versions are there, versions which are the new features. Okay, layer implementations. Spring can be which layer for all layers or specific layer. That's up to you. How many types of framework? What is a framework? There are four application types of applications, right? Exactly. Guys, the class time for this course, like guys, course name I will take like Spring and Spring Boot, guys. Spring I will take the 1 month. Spring Boot I will take 1 month. Yes, Spring and Spring Boot is the Spring is 1 month and Spring Boot is 1 month. Class time will be like class time will be like 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Shop 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. guys. For this one is like fees is like which is like 4,000 rupees. Spring Boot 4,000 guys. After Spring Boot, I will take Spring microservices and Spring security. That is a separate course. Okay, class time will be the 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Fees will be the 4,000 rupees, just 4,000 rupees, guys, for this course. Next one is what? Payments here, guys. Please enter your mail IDs so that I will share you the required session about the today class. Everyone enter the mail IDs. So payment, guys. Uh, if you want bank details, I'll share the bank details. Or Google Pay, Phone Pay is better, guys. Google Pay, Google Pay or what? Phone Pay. Google Pay or Phone Pay, guys. This is my number only, 9000160099. You will get the name like Ratan IT or Ratan. Anyone need the bank details? Anyone need the bank details? Okay, so if anyone needs the bank details, let me show the bank details also. So. Yeah, guys, if you need the Access Bank, this is Access Bank details. Yeah, okay, and share with Access Bank details if you want. Okay, this is the
Yes, sir.
Access Bank bank details.
Yes.
We have only couple of demo classes tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Then I will change the link. This is our class. This is our institute. We will enjoy what you want. Okay.
Yes, sir.
These are bank details, course name, and every day I will share the materials, guys. I will share the complete materials. I will share the complete materials. I think in front of you, I'm writing up notes, right? I will share the complete materials and all. Materials and all. Okay. And today class notes. Yes. I'll prepare that. And every day you will get the recorded session, right? You will get a recorded session to your email. The guys who are paid fees, we will share the recorded session to your email. Okay. Yeah, some package students are there. Sweta is a package student. Sweta, Rahel, Yodit. You guys, within one, like mostly by 12 o'clock, you will get the today class required session to your mail ID. You will get
Okay.
the today class required session to your mail ID. The guys who are paid fees. Remaining guys, try to complete the formalities. Uh, they are for the core advanced also, Pratima. Core advanced and all. Yeah. Is it clear now? So you try to complete the payments and share the screenshot to this mail, this number itself, my number only. Now you can share the screenshot so that I will send you the today class required session to your mail ID. Okay, good. And coming to the class notes, guys, protected test, Spring, okay, Spring 8 a.m. you can create, Spring 8 a.m. you can create, Spring 8 a.m. Prema, that is like day one, yeah. In the below everything is there, just you can check it out. Okay, Java is a password. Guys, complete the formalities, fee payments, everyone.
Yes, sir. Yeah, today I'll do it.
Guys, this is the data. So protected.com like Spring 8 a.m. When you open it is asking password. The password for that link is Java is the password. Yes, the password for that link is what? Java. JAVA is the password. Are you clear now? Still any questions? Guys, please respond any questions.
And for microservices, web services, how long for that? 1 month?
Slightly different. Again 2 months.
2 months? Okay.
Microservices 1 month. No, actually what I'm planning, springBoot, Spring Security, microservices 1 batch, web services 1 batch.
Okay, sir.
So for both, it is